Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here from CarterMatt.com.
And Jessica Carter, also from CarterMatt.com.
And this is the Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5 review video. We obviously have a lot to discuss. I feel like we could pour one out for about, thousands of people who died in this episode at this point.
Yep.
This was one of the most depressing episodes, I feel like, of Game of Thrones ever, because we all knew the Night King was bad. There's no debate there.
This was a really depressing episode.
Yeah, this was rough, but we'll explain why it's rough. We'll talk a little bit about some theories, some reaction that we've already seen online. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But before we get going, if you like this discussion, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to CarterMatt on YouTube for more. If you want to preview what's coming up next on the series finale, have no fear. We've got a link in the description to our written piece on the site that is all about that. Okay, where do we begin? I think we always have to start in the same place. Was this a good episode of Game of Thrones?
I'll let you answer that first.
I will answer it then. I think it was a very good episode of Game of Thrones, but that doesn't mean that I have to like 80% of what the characters did in the episode. I think.
Well, then what made it a good episode of Game of Thrones? If you didn't like what people did and how it played out, then what was it you liked?
That there was things that happened that I don't like, if that makes sense. Because this is the way I kind of perceive it, is that what Game of Thrones did tonight was remind us continuously, this is not a world where we're just going to get whatever we want because we have been watching this show for 8 years. This is a world that is devastating. War is horrible. Terrible things happen with war. You have people who think in terms of themselves and what they want, and greed and rage and all these bad things can take over them. I think we're going to have some sort of happiness in the series finale, but it's going to be the most bitter of happiness. It's going to be like biting into one of those 100% cacao bars that taste really good for a second, but at first you're like, oh, that's really strong. That's where I'm going with that.
I see. Well, I'm fine for an episode to not be a happy episode. That's not really what my problems with this episode were. I'm fine with that. But it's some of it just didn't make any sense to me. Let's talk about the Hound. Okay, so
I know where we're going with this already.
The scene with the Hound and Arya, I loved. We're going to start with something that I really, really loved. I really like Arya's character development. She has never necessarily been my favorite. I haven't disliked her. I haven't been as invested in her. But this season, I've become even more invested in her. And the idea that she was this, assassin, and that's what her purpose is in life, and she has this list, she's going to take everybody off, and then she's going to go off and probably kill a whole bunch more people. That was really exciting to me, and I really enjoyed that. And now that scene between them, just the idea of, do you want to end up like me? You have an opportunity still. You're still young. You're a young person. You can go forward and not end up like me.
Yeah. What
a great moment and, short speech from him. And just that idea where she was basically thank you. He gave her a gift.
Yeah.
Of all the people, because, he's not someone that she really obviously likes either. They've come together in a way that there is a mutual respect between them, and for him to give her that advice and for her to feel I'm not saying she's never going to go kill again or anything like that, but she's been kind of released of some of that. And that was nice to see that happen.
I liked when she called him by his real name.
Yeah, I really liked that too. If they ever had a spin-off of these two going off and killing people and having these moments, I would watch that all day.
Unfortunately, I feel like unless the Hound somehow survives a fall of Tommen level falling proportions
into the fire. No, we saw them all I think
this is not good. I don't even think Qyburn can save them now.
nobody can see
No,
them.
but like...
But then we got to that moment. The
Yeah.
moment that you've been waiting for. The moment that lots
Yeah.
of people were waiting for.
Clegane Bowl!
Yes.
It's on, it's happening,
It's
but...
happening. And my issue with it was that the Hound just let Cersei walk on by. He could have easily been like, boop, right over the side. There was no reason to let her go. Right after this moment where he was basically like, you don't have to do this anymore. It felt almost like I got you. If I see her, I'll take care of this magic for you. You get out of here, and I'll catch up with you on the flip side.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I thought it was going. So when she started to scuttle by, I was like, here it is! Here it is! And he's going to push her right over the side for Arya, and there'll be justice. And he just let her go on by.
The Hound has a code. The Hound... This is just me being a terrible devil's advocate here. I'm not sure.
Okay, but he could have the code for Arya too. He just was
Yeah.
like, you don't need to do this, go on your way. Well, don't like leave her hanging. It takes you a second to just push her over the side. Just boop, boop.
Yeah, but that's not his battle to fight. And I think he decided that was not going to be the case, and I think David and Dan and the writers decided, you know what, we're not going to do that because that's not going to make people happy enough. That's really what happened here.
That would make me happy. It would feel like something, even a little more connection with the Hound and Arya, that he's given her this bit of freedom to move on, to go forward, to grow, and that he was gonna... I thought it was a missed opportunity.
I honestly, I mean, I'm trying to like spur up conflict here for the sake of doing so, but honestly, you're right. Like, obviously, he should have done it, and I would have probably thought it was like hilariously awesome in some weird sort of way, because it would be like, after all of this, all it takes to get rid of Cersei is just bye, and then that's it, and that's all it is.
Yeah, but there's more to it than that, because it would have been for Arya and that connection that they have. That he could have done the right thing instead of being like, all right, I'm going to let this terrible person walk down the stairs and see you later. I don't care.
Can we at least talk about how awesome the Clegane Bowl was, though?
Yeah, let's talk about
Okay, see, the Clegane Bowl is basically like going to a buffet, and you're like, that looks really good, I'm going to eat a plate of that, and then you eat that plate, and then you go and eat 8 more of those plates, and like, I was just like, give me more of this, come on, give me the struggle on the ground, give me them stabbing each other, and then they keep going, and fighting, and sprawling around the stairs.
That was a great fight.
Yeah, this was awesome, and then you got like the Mountain's like losing his helmet, and he just looks really messed up. Like, and then you have the Mountain near the end. He tries to pull out the finishing move. You know what I'm talking about here.
I do.
This is the classic Mortal Kombat move. If he's just gonna, gouge you until there is absolutely nothing left.
Yep.
This was justice for Mr. Oberyn Martell.
That's right.
We're
Yes,
bringing
it was.
you back.
I loved him. What a great character.
Yes. Oberyn has justice. Somehow the Hound is able to avoid the eye gouging, but apparently nothing kills the Mountain, as we have learned.
Yeah, watching him pull out a whole sword. I don't know what's going on with him, but
Yeah.
that's some magic happening here.
I don't know. I feel like when he got resurrected, I think he may have had superpowers.
Maybe.
Like, and apparently the only way to actually defeat him is just like tackle him and then have them fall into fire.
Die in a fire.
Kill it with fire. It
Kill
makes
it with
sense.
fire. It makes sense.
I'm gonna miss the Hound. I love the Hound.
Yeah, he's such a great character, and it was, yeah.
Hound, top 10 Game of Thrones character. Just throwing that out there into the universe.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably one of the sadder deaths, because, I mean, apparently, Jaime and Cersei are dead. Like, David and Dan, you watched the David and Dan bit after the episode.
Yeah, I did, and they said basically that they're gone, and that Jaime had said seasons before that he wanted to die in the arms of the woman he loved, which is Cersei, and that's how he died. And, we didn't see them die. We saw all the rocks fall. Is it possible they're still alive? I guess, but I tend to believe that they're gone. There was no way out of there. Everything was, the whole sky's falling. It was... What more is there for their characters, really, except to sail off somewhere and raise their kid? And
yeah, I think...
Is Cersei ever going to be happy with that? No.
No, Cersei's never going to be happy.
No, and I don't know that Jaime's really going to be happy with that either. He's so conflicted, so...
Yeah. I feel like Jaime is, and this is the thing, like my opinion of Jaime as a character did not change by anything tonight. I think there are probably a lot of people who are upset about, oh, what did you do to Brienne? I hate you for that.
Well, I saw a lot of people that were more about the character development, that he had been growing. Yeah, he's had some slips, and he's grown, he's had some fallbacks. Like all of us in life go through that, where you're dealing with something that you're struggling with and you want to get past, and sometimes you fall back. And I think a lot of people felt, at least when what I saw, and I feel this a bit too, that he wanted to do the right thing and he wanted to climb that mountain and have that happiness, but there was something that he just wasn't able to get past, and it was his love for Cersei. And in a lot of ways, I'm okay with that. Not everyone is going to be able to climb that mountain and get to that better place where they have growth and they're at the next step. Some people aren't able to do it, and Jaime is one of those people that wasn't able to do it. It doesn't take away from my journey with him, seeing him have those moments where he did do the right thing. He still has those moments, but he couldn't break free.
I think Jaime is an addict, and I think that's kind of the problem, is that, anytime he started to kind of move away from that, then that addictive thing kicks in, and then it's just Cersei. He can't escape Cersei no matter what happens, and I think at one point it was bound to happen that this was going to happen. He was going to run into Cersei one more time, and this eventually would be the death of him, and apparently this is the death of him based on what's in that interview.
Yeah, based on the interview, they said that that's it, so that's it. I mean, we've got one episode left.
Yeah, I do have something I want to say here, though, and we'll talk about this more in a minute. I kind of don't like that these interviews are out there with David and Dan, because I feel like I like having interpretation for what's going to happen, and I think that now we're automatically have to accept everything that they say as canon. And if they didn't do this, and this wasn't at the end of the episode, we could be maybe talking about, is Jaime and Cersei, like, are they still alive?
Yeah, that's true. Or what we're going to talk about next, which is why did Daenerys burn the city to the ground once she had it? So she's gone through this journey for all these years, and we've seen glimpses of, this mad queen, or could she turn into like her dad, or any of these other things. And she went, but the main thing she wanted was the throne. So then she got the throne and killed everybody. So now there's no one to rule. There's no throne. There's no nothing. And a lot of people's interpretations have been different all online. I've seen people say she's the Mad Queen, people saying, now I've made it personal, or I've done this, or she's, all these different types of things. But hearing their explanation for it, which was she looked off into the distance and saw the Red Keep and saw what her family had struggled to build and whatever, and then it got personal. I just felt like that was not anywhere near the interpretation of what I had felt when I watched her doing that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I
didn't get that from her looking over at the Red Keep. When she looked over at the Red Keep, I thought, okay, it's personal, but it's not about what her family went through and this and that. That's where Cersei is. I need to get over there and take care of that business.
Yeah, because this was my thinking of it at the time was, yes, we had the surrender, we had the bell, we had all of that sort of stuff, but we did not have Cersei coming out of there and effectively surrendering herself. So
yeah,
I thought that this was, okay, so you're not going to surrender. I'm going to destroy all of these sort of people, and I'm going to bring you to the moral brink and make you say, how many people are you willing to let die until you eventually come out and give up? And,
I thought that could have been where it was going too.
And that makes more sense to me than, I'm just going to... So I am officially saying, David and Dan, you are no longer canon. I will not believe you. I will continue to have whatever interpretation of this that I want, at least with that. I guess I kind of have to trust you that Jaime and Cersei are dead, unless you're just straight up lying in your interview after the show. But Who knows?
Anything's possible. They may not want us, ruin the surprise at next episode. That'll be happening.
Well, let's talk about, I think I've seen a lot of online reaction about this already, because I think the Game of Thrones fandom is split into two very different camps on Daenerys right now.
Yeah.
I think there is one camp who is extremely upset about this and feels as though this was character assassination and that this changed Daenerys. And then the other camp of this is basically saying, you know what, if you pay close attention to everything along the way with this journey, you could sense that this was probably where we were eventually going to go, both in the books and in the story. And that, when these people are kind of like, a lot of these people are kind of like the Sansa stans, like the people who have been like, listen to Sansa, she knows what she's doing. But which camp are you in right now?
I feel like the signs were there for a long time that it could have been going near this direction. Yeah. I still don't... I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around and believing that she went through this entire journey to kill everybody. Could the whole Mad Queen thing be a thing? That's really the only explanation that's out there that makes any sense to me at this point. But it didn't feel like the journey was bringing us necessarily to her being the Mad Queen. It felt like it was bringing us to a place that maybe she could get there after she's ruling and other things are happening to her. I don't know.
I see. This is my thing. I don't think she's. The Mad Queen is an easy. It would be a good nickname for me to use. But I'm also like, I think it's like she's the convoluted queen, because I think there's a little bit of Mad Queen in there. But I think it's also like, who do you really blame for all of this? And it's interesting, because if you really wanted to just go really extreme with this, you can go back and say, hey, Jon Snow, this was all your fault. Because Jon Snow is, follow my lead, I got a point here. Jon Snow...
Is this the same point that Daenerys made in the show, that this is your fault because you told somebody?
In a way, yes, and this, mostly because of this. Jon Snow tells his family about it, and then we get this whole chain of events.
Which was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing for him to do, but at the same time, then Sansa goes and, tells that information to Tyrion, and then that information starts to spread around, and eventually we get to this point where this information is now fluttering out there, and I think this sparks an inner fear in Daenerys, because she doesn't want to lose, her throne. She doesn't want to lose the one thing that she cares about more than anything else. She just killed Varys, who I love, over all of this.
So then she's going to burn the city to the ground, and now there's nobody to rule. That makes so much sense.
I think that she is so intent on ruling on the basis of fear at this point, because she is feeling so much fear herself that everything is going to be taken away from her, that I think she is just so full of rage that she's done everything that she has to get to this point, and now there are actually influential people out there who know that there is a better heir to the throne than her, and I think she at this point is basically being like, okay, so you guys, even after all this is over, after we kill Cersei, you guys want to challenge me? Well, look what I'm doing to everyone else. You think I'm not going to do this to you?
But now there's nobody really left to rule.
I don't think she cares, like, as crazy as that is to say.
But if that's the case, then for me, I would think that if she's going to kill Varys because he knows and he's willing to overthrow her, then why wouldn't she, if she's going to burn thousands of innocent people for no reason, then why isn't she burning to death all the people that know?
That's a good question, and I think that is kind of the flaw that is within this logic, and that's why I don't think there's really a specifically clear answer as to what's fully going on.
Right, because if that was really it, and she wanted people to not know that there's another person out there, then she needs to get rid of the few people that know. So all the Starks need to go, Jon needs to go, Varys needs to go, and Tyrion needs to go. And then problem is solved.
Well, and I think it could actually potentially get there depending on how they write the series finale, because...
But now there's nothing left to rule.
There's nothing left to rule at this point, but those people are still out there, and because she's used them now effectively to get the Iron Throne, I mean, she's used the Starks, she's been able to use everybody else, maybe now she'll be like, you know what? I don't need these people anymore. So now is my time that I can actually make some sort of move against them. If she's clearly full of rage enough that she's going to do this. I mean, I think it's pretty clear at this point. We're building up to a series finale where I don't know how Daenerys lives through it.
Yeah, it feels like Cersei was the big bad for me. She's the person that I felt like the end was going to be against her, and now it's done this switch where it feels like Daenerys is now the big bad, and she's gone from being the young hero into the queen into the problem.
Yeah.
And it's building into a place that I don't think everyone's really surprised it's building into, but people aren't really enjoying that it's built into. And if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. I think it is. We wanted to root for her for so long.
And people did root for her for so long, and it feels, yes, the signs were there moving forward that this could happen, but it feels like as soon as her dragon died, and that was it, and the switch just went, and it was everything is game on, everybody burn.
Yeah. It basically feels now like we're at that equivalent of, that popular Tyra Banks gif that's online where she's like, I was rooting for you. How dare you? It's like, that's where we are with Daenerys. But, it is ultimately what it is at this point. Daenerys says, I don't think she's going to come back from what exactly it is that we've seen at this point. So I think we just have to prepare now for...
She's killed her kingdom.
Yeah, so you have to prepare for a really crazy finale now where there's basically almost nothing left. Like, I'm sure there's some stragglers here or there and survivors, and everybody else has to kind of figure out, okay, what do we want to do? Clearly, this is not exactly what we've signed up for.
Yeah, I don't really know what's left except for an episode of taking down Daenerys and rebuilding.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully we're going to see, because we had some people who were valuable parts of the story too, who were pretty much MIA throughout this episode. Yeah. I mean, not really any of Bran. Sansa, not really important to this episode for the most part.
No, just her information. She's taught very well by Littlefinger, and now we've seen what she does with information. Yeah. She's the person that basically burned this city to the ground.
Yeah, Sansa ended up making a move. The thing is, I don't know if Sansa necessarily saw this, but I think the problem is that all of this spread of information got us to this point. Where was Brienne during all of this?
She's up in Winterfell.
Yeah, I miss Brienne. I think it's just because I feel so bad.
Crying in her beer because she got left behind. It's the worst.
I know, it really is, but...
I love her.
I do too. Well, I feel like what we really need is we just need Brienne and the Hound. She can go and resurrect the Hound, and then we can have the spinoff of Brienne, Arya, and the Hound.
Yep.
Just have running around and killing things.
What great characters.
Oh, I know. So much good stuff, but... Now, we are kind of at the end of all of this, but is there anything else you want to say about Episode 5 before we say goodbye to it? You want to talk about Arya wandering around through the streets for 30 minutes?
Oh, I get why they were doing that. I saw a lot of complaints about that online, too, that people were like, oh, man, we get it, the city's falling. Yeah. It was very beautiful to watch in that way. The cinematography on it was incredible, and seeing Arya dealing with all different people and different interactions and trying to help and save and more of her humanity coming out. I get why it was happening, but man, was it long.
Yeah, it took a long time. But, there were, I think, a lot of just really cool moments. The fight between Euron and Jaime, that was pretty crazy.
Yep.
I, of course, was very sad to see Varys go, but I think the thing I'm most bummed out about, Varys, maybe a top 15 Game of Thrones character for me. I don't know if I have him top 10.
I was actually surprised that he was taken out as easily as he was.
Yeah, I think it must have just been that...
With all of his experience and as long as he's been around and all the different secrets and all the different everything, how did he not know that this was coming and prepare for it better than this? Escape. He's always sort of in the shadows and the keeper of secrets, and you didn't know this?
I think his biggest mistake, if you have to, armchair quarterback his performance tonight, I think his big mistake was I think he thought that Tyrion was a little bit more nuanced in his approach to Daenerys than he was. I think he thought that maybe Tyrion was a little bit more receptive, and I
don't know why he would, though, because they had that conversation where Tyrion was like, this is treason. It's not happening.
Yeah, but I think he must have still thought that that was not information he was going to come back and tell Daenerys, because Tyrion has kept plenty of secrets before. And I think he just underestimated how, like, extremely loyal and misguided in some ways Tyrion has been. Tyrion's made a lot of mistakes this season.
Oh my goodness, yeah, he has. But that conversation with Jaime, oh my god. Peter Dinklage is my favorite. I love him. The first time I ever saw him was in this movie called Living in Oblivion, and if you haven't seen it, it's one of the first things he ever did. He was only in it for like 10 minutes, and the first time I ever saw him, I knew he was going to be a star. He's so good. That scene had my heart. I love him. I love you, Peter. He's so good.
He is really good, and he hasn't gotten material like that the past couple of seasons.
No, he hasn't, but man, was that good.
Yeah, really knocked that out of the park. And, you know, this is going to be a polarizing Game of Thrones episode. It's a polarizing Game of Thrones final season. A lot of people like it. A lot of people feel like, oh, it's too rushed. I don't like what the characters are doing. All of that sort of stuff. But I'm curious now to hear from you guys who are watching us tonight. What did you think about this episode? What do you think about Daenerys? Who do you think is going to be on the Iron Throne at the end of all of this? If there even is kind of an Iron Throne left at this point.
There's nothing left.
Let me know in the comments. Also, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further and get a shirt kind of like the one that I'm wearing by visiting the CarterMatt store. That link is in the description below. And we'll see you guys here next time.